Good morning everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about how much money I've spent on cars in the last year. Now I want to start off by saying this video is not made to flex in any way. Cars is pretty much the only thing that I like to spend my money on. Besides the beautiful home that I live in, I have an obsession with cars. Now we're going to go into the detail about how much money I've spent on cars, but first I wanted to talk about my very first car. My first car was a 2014 Mazda 3. I think it was a Grand Touring or something like that. It was an amazing car. I was always looking at the kids in high school with the BMWs, with the Audis, and I was like, damn, like how cool would that be? And I loved the car. It got me from point A to point B, and that car actually saved my life. There was times where I had to use my credit card on Amazon to get Starbucks gift cards, $10 each, and then I would go cash those in at stores just to be able to put gas in my car to be able to do Postmates so that I could make that money back, plus a little bit more, and I did that every single day until I wasn't broke anymore. And keep in mind, this was only a couple years ago that I was doing that. I'm going to be moving between cars during this video just to add dramatic effect, but I'm currently in the R8 right now. Almost a year ago, back in April, the very first car I got was a Tesla Model 3 Performance, and at the time, that was my dream car. All I'd ever wanted to own was a Tesla in my life. I thought the forward thinking of the company was amazing. I just thought that it was going to go very far. I always have. Got a Model 3 Performance, maxed out everything. I think the total was $66,000 plus taxes. It came out to around $70,000. I put $20,000 down on the car. I probably only had $25,000 in my bank account. I put everything down on it. It was my dream car. Finally picked it up. It was amazing. I loved it at the time. And I had that car for about 4 months. It was awesome. It was my daily driver. I was so happy with it. When I wanted to buy a Porsche 911 Turbo S. I thought it was an amazing car. I looked up how fast it was very fitting to me. Called my friend Tanner, who owned a GT3 RS, and I was like, hey Tanner, should I get a Turbo S? And he's like, nah bro, fuck that. Like, if you want to get a Porsche, get the GT3 RS. And he was like, I'm actually selling it. I'll sell it to you for 200K flat. And this car is worth probably 215, 220 grand. So it was an easy 20 grand off the car. So I went and I took the Model 3 and I got about $50,000 for it. So I did lose 20 grand for it. I was fully paid off by the time I traded it in. I put $50,000 down on the GT3 RS. So I didn't spend any more money out of pocket, but I had paid off the Model 3. So after taxes, that car was about $220,000, and I put $50,000 down with a monthly of $2,800. And this was back in August of 2020. So let's head over to the Porsche. God, I love this car. So at this time, I'd spent around $70,000 total on the Tesla and just put the $50,000 that I had remaining after the depreciation of the vehicle towards this car. Put $50,000 down, got the GT3 RS, did not realize how much I was going to fall in love with cars. And talking about what an amazing car to start with. I'm so fortunate that this was the first supercar that I actually had. And about a month later, after my birthday in September, I really wanted an SUV. I didn't realize how impractical it was, being a YouTuber and everything, having a supercar as my only car. It just didn't make sense. So I put $50,000 down on a Model X. It was about $135,000 after taxes and everything. I put $50,000 down, so the monthly payment was super low. It was about $1,000. But I only had that car for a week. After having this car, I didn't realize how much I was not going to enjoy having a car with no sound. I fell in love with the sound of this car. A few weeks into September of having the Model X, I sold it over to Larry and he just took over payments. I was still $50,000 down on that car. And in that time, I put another $100,000 down on a Lamborghini Urus, which I bought for $220,000, which with taxes and everything came out to about $250,000. And now let's move over to the Urus. For effect, let's go ahead and turn these bad boys on. Sheesh, that is exciting every time. And in the meantime, Larry was interested in buying the car, and we were still figuring out how we were going to do that, so he just took over the payments while he had the car. It was about $1,200 a month, nothing crazy. It was actually a really good loan on that car, and I love the Model X. It just was nothing exciting for me. Like, every time I got in the car, I was like, I don't like this car very much. And obviously, I'm very fortunate to be in the position I do. I've worked very hard to get to where I am today. I wouldn't be here without all of you guys, so I love you guys. So near the end of 2020, in December, on Christmas, I found an E36 for $8,000 on OfferUp, and I went and picked it up cash, brought it to my boy Blake, and for $2,000 more fixed up the brake pads and the rotors because they were really messed up. Car runs great. Then now in February, a couple months later, I bought Nick Austin's Audi R8. Now I had co-signed on that car for him, so the car was already in my name, and he was actually the co-signer to me because his credit was so bad at the time. I put money down. I think he bought it for $125,000 or $130,000. Since then, the car has lost a lot of value and it was worth $115,000. He owed, I think, $106,000 or $107,000 on the loan still, so I paid him the difference of what the car's worth at $115,000. So I gave him $8,000, and then now I have taken over payments. I'm planning on paying off that car in the next few months, and I have now fully paid off the Model X, and Larry is in the process of buying it. He's paying it off fully within the next month. So those are all the cars that I have. I guess we're not done yet because we'll see before April will be the full year of cars that I have purchased. Outside of all the vehicles costings, I have put around $60,000 into these vehicles. $35,000 of that alone was just on the R8 twin turbo, which is getting done next week. It's a Gintani twin turbo kit, so it's going to be incredible. The car is going to have 1,000 horsepower. We might end up upgrading the clutch and getting it to 1,400 horsepower. I don't know if we need to do that, but the car at least will be added value. But the other $25,000 has been from wrapping the Model 3 to blacking out the Model X to wrapping the Porsche, the Audi, and the Lamborghini, along with downpipes and a stage 2 tune in this car. Now, before we get into the final number of amounts that I've spent back, we're also going to get into how much I have made back on these cars. Yes, I have spent a lot of money on the cars this year, and I made this video not to gloat or to brag on the amount of money I've spent on cars or anything like that. I made this video because I wanted to be transparent with my audience, as well as there's a lot of people that are curious, like, how do people go about getting these cars? They lease them? Do they buy them? Do they own them? Like, how does that work? I hate that people are so fake on the internet. People will put $5,000 down on a supercar and spend $5,000 a month and claim they own it when they don't. There's plenty of people that just go about things the wrong way, and I feel like being transparent is something that I would love to be for you guys. Let's just go ahead and do the math here. I spent $70,000 and purchased a $220,000 GT3 RS. So you take the $70K plus the $220K, you get $290 minus the $50K that I got back on that car. We're now at $240,000. Then I have now spent $135,000 to pay off the Model X, which leads to $375,000 from the Model 3 to the GT3 RS. I then spent another $100,000 as a down payment on the Urus, which I still am making payments on today, plus the $10,000 that I spent on the E36, plus the $8,000 I put down on the R8, plus the $60,000 that I have put into upgrades on these vehicles, leads to $553,000 that I have spent on cars in the last year. Now, I have made some of that money back. Larry is almost finished paying off the Tesla, so you subtract $135,000 from that total, and I also got a brand deal for the E36, which I then gave away that car to Connor, so I got another $10,000 back from that, leading to I have spent $408,000 on my cars over this last year. So yes, I have spent a lot of money on cars this year. I owe about $150,000 left on this car, as well as $100,000 on the R8. So once I've spent that, I'll be at $608,000 on cars. I'll own 3 supercars, which are evaluated, which will be worth about the same if I am able to sell the Audi R8 for $150,000 with the twin turbo kit. It's very likely. People do it all the time. This car is currently worth $220,000 to $230,000. Same with the GT3 RS. That car is worth about $220,000. So we're at $440,000 there, plus the $150,000 on the R8 is worth about $590,000. So yes, once these cars are fully paid off, I may have lost $15,000 to $20,000 on them. That's worth it to use them, and they're amazing. I will probably end up selling this car at some point, but I absolutely cannot get over driving the Urus. It is the best SUV out there. Let me know in the comment section below what type of videos you guys would like to see. Do you guys like the upfront honesty on the finances of these cars, or am I just a douchebag for talking about it? I just felt like if I were the person watching, I would love to get some transparency from people. So yeah, let me know if you guys like these type of videos, if you guys want to stick with me doing stuff to the actual cars and wrap reveals and driving them and all that type of stuff. Some video ideas down in the description below. I love you all, and I will see you guys next week.